Hi, I'm Azimuth with Heinz Feet on High Places. The other day, I was chatting with somebody on their YouTube channel about equipment, and specifically, I was mentioning a trick that I've started using for my phone in the winter. One of the problems with hiking in the winter up in the north is that it's so cold that your phone battery and your other electronics batteries, for that matter, will frequently die. And so I've developed a few tricks that have helped me. So one of those I'm going to share with a tutorial on how to make a phone warmer out of inexpensive materials. So check it out. I've never done a tutorial like this before, so let me know in the comments what you think and what maybe I could do better, because this really is outside of my norm. I don't do a whole lot of gear stuff. I tend to do more, hey, check out this hike I went on stuff. But if it'll help other people with getting their gear better and doing better, then I think that it's worth sharing. So check it out. So with regards to materials for this, you're going to need the roller Reflectix. This is a full roll and so much more than I'm going to need. And a roll of duct tape. For tools, you're also going to need some cloth. This is polar fleece. It's a non-cotton fabric. It's very warm. It's a synthetic. I've got a cloak that's lined with this stuff, and it is so warm. Obviously, I don't hike with that. You're also going to need a package of 1-inch single fold or double fold, it doesn't really matter, bias tape. You could really use anything for the strap, but I like the bias tape. So this is mine here, and you can see how wide the 1-inch bias tape is, and it opens up even wider if you were to want it to. So unlike something like, say, a paracord or a nylon cord, when you wear it around your neck, this doesn't dig in when you've got a little weight in it, because this pouch here is going to contain not only your phone, but quite possibly a battery bank, because you can slip your phone in there. You can also slip your battery bank in there and have your phone charging while you're wearing it. So this is the insert that I made out of the Reflectix. You can't really see it, but there's a small hole right there that allows me to put the cord through the hole to plug into my phone, and then I can put the battery bank in my pocket and have the cord running up inside my shirt. Or you can put the battery bank in the pouch the way I said earlier. So you can see that this is all made of duct tape, but this little sub pouch here, you got to make sure when you make that there's no exposed duct tape on the inside, because that's where you're going to drop a hot hands. When you drop the hot hands in there, and this is closed around your phone, and then that is inside the pouch, your phone is going to stay nice and warm, and it's not going to drain the battery. Yeah, sorry, trying to hold the camera while I do this. So, let's get started on making one, shall we? So the first thing you're going to need to do is measure your phone. Obviously, every phone is different, and mine is considered fairly small. I find it amusing how phones kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller throughout the years. And then with the invention of smartphones, all of a sudden they started getting bigger and bigger and bigger because the more screen size, the easier they are to use. I found that amusing. Okay, there we go. That's the side I want. So mine is roughly with the case. You would definitely want to measure it with whatever case it's going to be in, because it needs to be big enough so that you could just drop it in. So with the case, I'll call that 2 3/4 by 5 3/4. So that's the size that we need at a minimum. So you want a little bit of extra play. That extra play will allow you to it'll just allow it to be easier to put in and out. If it's too tight, it'll be too snug and it'll be difficult for you to get in and out of the pouch. So 2 3/4, we're going to round that up to 3. Take our ruler and take our marker. We're going to mark it at 3 inches in a couple of places. Okay, so it looks like and we're just going to cut this entire strip. I have found that if I have some leftover pieces, I usually end up using them for something. In one case, I had made something and then I used them to make this cool little neck wallet because I had an extra piece laying around. And then you just cut it. So a pair of scissors, doesn't require any special scissors. You want to make sure they're sharp just so that they're easy to use, but if all you've got is an older dull pair of scissors, well, then all you've got is an older dull pair of scissors. And now, it was 5 3/4, so we're going to call that 6 inches. Again, just to give us a little bit of extra. And then just make a mark. Cut it straight across. And voila. We're going to need a second one. And that should be big enough to hold my phone. Again, if you've got a battery bank that you're going to try and put in here, it's going to need to be a little bit bigger. So, first thing that we want to do is we want to make a pouch. Move that. So I've pre-cut a few pieces of duct tape. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of them and I'm going to fold it in half, like so. I'm going to just lay this down with the folded side away from me. I'm going to take another one and do the same. The idea here is this gives us something where there's no sticky side on the inside, because this is going to be our hot hands pouch. And we're just going to take and we're going to tape this to the pouch. It's a little sloppy, but you get the idea. This doesn't have to be perfect. If you want it to be perfect, you know, you can put that effort into it. But the idea here is just to give you a little pouch that's going to be on the inside of this Reflectix, where you can drop a hot hands to provide some heat for your phone. Now, once you've got the hot hands pouch, you're literally just going to tape these two together, but depending on whether or not you want to put that little gap for your cord in, might make it a little difficult, a little different. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that gap in. You want just a slight gap between the two pieces of Reflectix, maybe 1/8 of an inch or so. I mean, enough that you can slide a knife blade in there, because that's where your cord is going to go. And then a little bit of duct tape. And of course, I believe in redundancies, but if you are a super gram weenie, every piece of tape you put on here has weight. So you'll want to not overdo it. And you want to give them a good squeeze, but not so much that you start popping the bubbles in the Reflectix, because that's what gives it its insulating properties. Okay, and so now you have this, and your phone will simply go inside it. And honestly, if you have a phone pouch on your backpack already, you could probably just put this in that phone pouch and it would do the job, if you don't want to do the whole neck pouch thing. So you can see I can just take the cord from my, I made that hole a little bit too small, so I'm gonna widen it. My first one, I didn't even think about that hole until afterwards and said, ooh, what a good idea. And I had to use a knife to make it because the thing already existed. But you can see that can come through there. Again, if you're putting your battery bank in with your phone, you don't have to worry about that hole because your battery bank is going to be right there. But what you will want is to make sure that you have a very short 90-degree cable. So you can see this is an iPhone Lightning cable. There's a 90-degree bend on each side so that I can plug it in. And I'll plug them both in at the top if I'm carrying the battery bank in the pouch itself. So once that is made, that becomes your new width, because this is slightly wider than your phone, so your pouch now needs to be wide enough to accept this. So we said before that we rounded this up with the tape and everything. It's now about 3¼ inches. And this isn't precision engineering. If you want to make it precision engineering, that's fine. That may save you some weight over the long run. But what we're going to do is we're going to take that 3 1/4 and that 6 1/4 inch measurements, and we're going to say, okay, we want to make the actual pouch. This is just a scrap of polar fleece that I had laying around. Realistically, you could use anything. The polar fleece just helps to insulate the phone better, and it's very soft and comfortable against your skin if you're dropping it inside your shirt. So one nice thing about polar fleece is that you don't have to hem it. If you have the edges raw, that's okay. It's not going to fray. But what we do want to make sure is that we have nice straight edges. For cutting fabric, you probably want better scissors than what I've got, but these will do in a pinch. They're just craft scissors that I picked up. And so we know that we want it slightly bigger than the closed pouch. So I'm going to give it about 1 inch up here, and then I'm going to give it about 1 inch down here. And about 1 inch on each side. So you can see I'm literally just eyeballing this. It doesn't have to be precision, doesn't have to be perfect. This is an old Russian expression that I kind of like. Perfect is the enemy of good enough. Now, nothing wrong with seeking for excellence and seeking for perfection, but oftentimes we're so enamored with perfection that we miss actually getting something accomplished. Okay, so let me get some pins. Okay, so once I've got it laid out, I'm just gonna pin it together. Now, I'm not gonna dig out the sewing machine today to finish this. I'm just gonna kind of talk you through it. If you don't know how to use a sewing machine, I'm going to strongly recommend you find somebody who does to help you with the last bit. But it's very simple. It's just knowing how to use the machine itself. So we're just pinning the edges here, right along the edge, kind of as close as you can. Because remember that extra inch that was on the sides? Well, that's called a seam allowance, and it's where you're going to sew. And so basically you're going to sew along here and sew along here, just inside the pins. If you want to be extra sure, you will sew twice to make sure, you'll double stitch it. Also, we're going to take and we're going to put a little bit of a snip. Again, these aren't the best scissors. That little bitty tiny snip there. is going to be where our cords can come in from outside the pouch. So just a little bitty hole that the cord can go in. So and when you sew up the neck cording, now you can see I actually did this one a little different because it was done in 2 pieces rather than 1. By doing it in 1 piece, I had to put that hole in there, but by doing it out of 2, I just stopped sewing and left the gap, which is what allows the cord to go through. So when you sew it up, when you sew up the sides, you just lay the piece of bias tape down after cutting it. You're going to have to figure out for yourself exactly how long you want it. Some people, if they're wearing a necklace, they want it really high up on their chest. They want it short. To me, that makes it hard to get over your head. By having it fairly long like mine is, you just drop it in and you sew it here, but then you also want to sew it here. You might want to double sew it because there's going to be a lot of stress there. And then once you are done, you've got that. You've got your little pouch. Hot hands goes in the pouch there. The phone itself goes in the pouch here. And then the pouch goes in the neck pouch. And then neck pouch goes around your neck. You can drop it inside your shirt. It'll help keep it warmer inside your shirt. Or if it's not that cold, you can leave it out so that you have easier access to your phone. So for those of you that hike using their phone for their primary navigation source, it keeps it fairly accessible. And again, if you've got a pouch on your backpack that you put your phone in, you can just drop it in that, and then when you take it out, just leave this in that pouch. It doesn't weigh very much. As I mentioned before, you can put your battery bank in there, and your battery bank is going to run you 31 grams. In this case, it's an Anchor 20,000 amp. So the weight of this is significantly more than the weight of this. Keep them straight. The problem with putting your battery bank in is that it gets heavy around your neck and it might be pretty uncomfortable. So I'm showing with the battery bank 375 grams. That's a lot of weight. 13 ounces, almost a pound around your neck. That's a lot of weight to carry on your neck. It's not very comfortable. So that's really it. That is my phone warming neck pouch. Hopefully that will come in handy for some of y'all. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and leave a comment below. I don't do a whole lot of these type of videos, the tutorials and such. And if that's what people want to see, I kind of need to know that, and I won't if you don't tell me. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you want to check out the rest of my content, which is usually just me out hiking. So, hope you've enjoyed it. Have a blessed day, and azimuth out.